guys, so I'm bringing you something different today. I've done a little bit of Brood War casting in the past, but this was a long time ago. I helped cast the girls tournament that was like in 2012 with Nina Zerg, and then maybe one other time, and that's kind of it. But I do enjoy Brood War. I've really been enjoying StarCraft Remastered, and I asked around looking for replays of any fun games or just people you might know that play the game, and I actually had quite a few responses, which I'm really happy about. And one of the guys that gave me a whole ton of replays is actually Incontrol, who of course played Brood War back, actually to start things off with, and he is, if you guys don't know, Zerg. So I want to just give a big thanks again to Incontrol for sending me these replays, but I also got some from like Penguin and Poke Bunny, and it's going to be a fun time. As this is some of my first Brood War casts, I suppose, the knowledge really isn't going to be there. I'm not going to pretend to know more than I do, but I'm just going to try and enjoy the ride that is watching Brood War, because certainly Brood War, I think, while both StarCraft 2 and Brood War are beautiful games, I also think that Brood War has so much more action around the map that it's really quite enjoyable. Now, there's something that I kind of forgot that StarCraft Remastered actually has, and that is the ability to change the video, the replay, but I'm not actually sure how to do that. So if anyone knows how, please, let me know. That'd be really cool. At least I figured this part out. I can actually show you guys the entire map. So that's more usually what you're used to watching StarCraft 2, of course. But I guess you can see that this is the basic way to go about it. And maybe I'll look into the actual replay HUDs or whatever that were used, for instance, at the StarCraft Remastered events, which were really cool and be a little bit fancier next time. But anyways, back to what I was talking about, I do find Brood War a fun game to cast and watch, so I'm just going to try and enjoy the ride and maybe give some information that the very new people wouldn't know and are going to be amazed at, but I doubt anyone who's actually experienced in Brood War is going to be amazed at this cast. So let's do the introductions. On the bottom right, we do have Incontrol as Zerg. And then in the top right, as a circuit breaker, we have an unknown Terran. Incontrol, I think, named these something like Fantasy, probably. But I don't think it was actually Fantasy, if I had to guess. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Fantasy is playing. So there have been rumors that almost every single person who's ever played Brood War is trying out Remastered, even those that are still in the military at least try it out. And it makes a lot of sense. The accessibility that came with Remastered is probably the biggest benefit, shortly followed by the matchmaking that's a little rusty right now, I guess, but is being improved on. So I myself play Terran the majority of the time in Brood War, so that's where like the little tiny bit of knowledge I have comes from. And I do enjoy all the matchups of Brood War. I'm probably going to steer clear of CBZ. That one just seems like it seems like a knife fight as much as StarCraft 2's, but okay, I don't know. We'll see what's suggested against the cast. So we do have the Terran being harassed here, being controlled drone. It's a little weird to say in control and Zerg and drone all in the same sentence, but yeah, this is what he played all the years ago and still sticking with even now. Getting his pool and gas, and the SCV will want to stick around as long as possible. Micro on workers actually makes them last quite a long time, even up against lings that are chasing them, even up against speedlings. Just the way the pathing works, you can actually dodge around for some time. And you certainly want to see if they are actually going for the more standard openers, like quick third hatch with the lair into mutas. Definitely I faced my share of 2-base Hydra, which I believe is more of a cheese build, and that's frustrating, but you're expecting Muta, I think, for most of the time. It's like one of the things you learn when you first get into Brood War is like, okay, ZVT, the Zerg is going to go Muta, and then buy time to get the Hydras, and then buy even more time to really get that higher tech. So for the StarCraft 2 guys out there, just know that Zerg doesn't really play quite like it does in StarCraft 2. It still is about like massing units to a degree, but the units that they end up massing are a lot more powerful, I would say. Zerglings are actually kind of beast mode, a lot of the time. And some of that has to do with literal numbers being changed, and some of that just has to do with how the micro works in Brood War. Marines just aren't as micro capable, and they don't have the automatic range. So, as you can see, the SV is trying to last as long as possible. And it does, you know, see that it is a lair. Still doesn't see the third hatchery, though, being put down. It usually is put down, for instance, right here. And that's also where the spire would be, so they're trying to get you to scan in the wrong place. But even a sunken colony already up and ready to go. Sometimes we'll see a line of sunken colonies, because that is the only defense they'll really have against early game marine pushes. It's just the way it goes. I think in StarCraft 2, besides a couple of different metas, mass stack defense seems really silly. Seems almost noobish. But in Brood War, it's actually totally what you want to do. And there's even a bit of SimCity that goes along with it, especially against Protoss. I did have a time where I was trying to play Zerg in Brood War, and I was trying to learn how to SimCity, and I was just like, this is the worst. I still can't do it as Terran, but I guess it's a little more forgiving unless someone 4-pulls me. Anyway, we do have the Marines bulking up off of 2 barracks. Academy and Engineering Bay, so soon will be coming down soon enough. But the Academy is going to give 2 important upgrades for these Marines, as well as access to medics and fire bats, if that's what we want to go with. And yeah, that's going to be Stim, which is a very fast upgrade in Brood War. And I actually don't remember the name of the upgrade for the Marine range, but also the Marine range. Stim is such a fast upgrading that first is a wise choice. Now these Marines aren't supported by medics, and they don't have Stim, so they're really not the greatest units. And incontrol, still take it seriously, is going to go ahead and just already put down his 2 creep colonies. Turn into Sunkens, and just be really safe. He did go for a Hydralisk Den and is researching Lurker, the Lurker upgrade. So you do want to kind of get to Lurkers as fast as possible. Hydras themselves can do an okay job, but Lurkers, obviously, it's where it's at. So it is 2-base Lurker, I guess. I'm not really sure if I should be calling this cheesy, but just from like my limited knowledge, I think it's faster than usual. You can see down here, Incontrol's taking the 3rd base in the corner. This is totally normal. The idea is definitely to put Lurkers here, so kind of pairing up the larva, the Hydras being more with the Lurker upgrade, and then sometimes the timing is really close if you're up against a really good Terran, but you block it with eggs and then you turn them into Lurkers, and they're usually too good to actually run up the ramp against. Now we have Marines and a couple of medics, and they're going to be a little more threatening, but with 3 Sunkens, I'm pretty sure Incontrol is okay. At this point in time, I don't know if the Terrans scan the main. I did hear a scan go down. Maybe that wasn't the main. I know in the new UI there is a way to see it, but since I don't have the UI, I'm not sure how. It just is as simple as clicking on the bar in the top, but they don't have that bar, so... This is a super, super old school way of observing, I guess, Brood War. Although, to be fair, you didn't actually see what they're producing in the old school. A single Lurker? Oh, 2 Lurkers, actually. Lurker on the right side. Managed to sneak by. Does scan, and with a concave, you can take out a Lurker. It just is kind of still a dangerous thing to do. Tanks automatically outrange Lurkers as well in Brood War, but obviously our Terran player not up to that tech quite yet. Unfortunately, Incontrol did not have Lurkers already set on that high ground ramp, and will be taking out this base. He might have been expecting the Terran to hit him at the front first, and then check the 3rd base, so unfortunately a mistiming, and that's just kind of a given to the Terran player. A couple more bunkers coming up here. That's Party Bar, actually. So, certainly you have a Ling Flood with the Lurkers, and it really complicates matters. You want to be running away from the Lurkers, but obviously taking out the Lings on the way home. Whoa, I never noticed how detailed the burrow, like, disturbed ground is when there's Lurkers in HD. Wow, okay. Did see, here another scan, rather. Probably once again checking the hive timing. It's usually Zerg more about that tech than they are in StarCraft 2. Double evolution chamber. I don't know how common this is. But that's what he's doing. Interesting. There you actually can see the scan. It's not nearly as easy to see, though, as the StarCraft 2 replay observer interface. Just continuing to bulk up Marines. You do have 5 barracks production. Really delayed that factory. also getting the +1 weapons only just now. Obviously, all the upgrades are already done for the bio, but I'm just gonna see if this. Oh, hold position, lurkers! This is an awesome thing to do. And it just absolutely slaughters all the Marines. That was perfect. Very nicely done by incontrol, taking a nice grab of Marines there with very few units. A couple more lurkers joining the fray. Now, you know, when they get tanks, they start siege hopping forward. The lurkers just have to keep on coming back until they can buy time for defilers, which I know incontrol had a pretty funny roundabout at the StarCraft Remastered event. But yeah, not Blinding Cloud, rather Dark Swarm. There we go. Dark Swarm really helps the Zerg player when they start to get pushed like that. But since it's only bio, I don't know if the necessity is quite there as much. It is always a little scary to be going forward with only lurkers because, yeah, concave can work. Lurkers are so effective against Marines, though. It requires some, like, superb micro beyond the concave. And just, I think, plainly more Marines. Looks like there was a block, like supply depot or something right there that had to be killed before we could take it. Incontrol has not re-expanded to these bases, but rather, we actually have the Terran expanding to the top left. I'm pretty sure that's not normal, so I'm going to call that a secret base. It's a single Marine is constantly scouting to see if he does take that hatchery back. The thing is that Zerg can survive, I think, more on 2 base. For a time, I'd say they actually were more reminiscent of like Protoss and Heart of the Swarm or something like that. If they can get to that higher tech, they can take really extreme like supply deficit battles and end up coming out ahead. If we actually saw the supply, definitely it's not what any StarCraft 2 fans are thinking. For anyone who actually just wants to watch a Brood War cast and is like, stop comparing it to StarCraft 2, that's kind of going to be my thing for a little while, just because I am, you know, this is kind of usually a StarCraft 2 channel, and that's usually what I do for analysis and stuff, so I think it's fun, but I know some people are getting tired of it, and I apologize, but I'm also not really going to change anytime soon. Anyway, so yeah, the lower supply of the Zerg actually isn't as big of a deal as maybe it can appear in StarCraft 2. Although I'd say nowadays it's a little bit different. Zergs are consistently holding a 20 supply down, even Legacy of the Void, but that's another discussion. A large Marine force moving around the map. So one complex thing about Brood War is that the farther you are ahead, the later the game goes, the more difficult it is to keep that lead or continue any precise micro that you're going to see. With the cap on how many units you can select and the fact that you have to go back and micro or macro back at home by literally going home with the location hotkey, it makes it really difficult. So that also contributes to a lot of comebacks in Brood War, which, you know, some people will say that makes it a more exciting game. This hatchery looks like it is going to be forfeit, just no defenses here. Incontrol missing out on the scout. But luckily he did just take this base. This base does not have a gas, so that might be a problem in the future. He did also add to their hatchery. There's no larva injects, so you really gotta actually add more hatcheries. Double dropship going into the main base, though not too common. You see sign cells produced solely from starports at this point, but lurkers defending that third base. Hydra's coming in from the backside and just a complete surround. But what does incontrol have in the main base? His drone line's getting absolutely slaughtered. A couple Hydras will be able to help, even if they do have these upgrades. They're currently at 1-1 versus just 1-0. But this is going to be tough to handle. Obviously, we haven't seen Lynx's entire game, but with the mineral patch, it's going to be extra hard to use. And he's got to wait for the lurkers and a lot more Hydras to come back. The dropships, they can't heal, so, you know, escaping is the better way to do things. We do have a lot of important tech going down, so spawning pool and a Hydralisk den, and even Spire. The Spire is going to be used for Scourge, I think, mostly, later on to deal with, well, sure, dropships, but also science vessels, which are only really just being produced. We still don't have, actually, that's the first one, a single Vulture as well, which is a little funny to see. He's only just now getting tanks in siege mode. Wow, alright, really going hard on the Marine Force. Again, I don't believe incontrol knows about this extra base and even starting his maybe transition to mech at that base, but that is a lot of lurkers. They don't have Dark Swarm, and a couple of those spider mines get some hits, but the Marines are out of position. They're going through a bridge, they're going through their own buildings. and this is not working out that well. The Hydras are starting to thin out here, and only 3 lurkers left over. Does that science vessel even have... Well, it's dead. Never mind. Didn't have the energy for irradiate, even if he had already researched it. And it looks like our orange Terran is successfully pinned to his 2 bases. Now, with incontrol not knowing about this base, that could have been a problem, you know? Like, you maybe check that one and says, okay, then I should win this game. He's only had 2 bases. Well, this could have been fully saturated, I do believe. That was built a long time ago, and that could have been a real thorn in his side, because there also could have been a lot more production over here. Another feature of Brood War is that you do see a lot more buried production facility locations to also allow for comebacks. But more lurkers on the front lines, and this might just be it for our Terran. Apparently fantasy, IDK, something like that. Irradiate was researched. The science vessel can only help out so much. So many lurkers and no tanks to help out. His 1 tank is actually stuck behind here. Science vessel can only help with a single irradiate at a time. I believe the Terran is dead. Giving a scan, I guess, just tell exactly how Scrooge is. You know, back at home, we still don't have a hive. We actually have... I'm actually not sure what upgrade that is. Can't recognize the upgrades quite yet. He's rebuilt, I guess. Actually, the Hydrosen, I guess that was? Yeah. And is now on his way to hive with his Queen's Nest on the way. 4th base has also been secured. This actually has some gas. You can see, actually, he's not banking too much. Terran's banking a lot of gas, surprisingly. Well, I guess not surprisingly, because he was on Marines for so long. Now, high ground does work differently in Brood War. There is a chance to miss if you're going up the high ground, but if you are being attacked from the high ground, you can actually automatically see it. It's definitely a different mechanic, and one that was, I think, hotly contested when they were making StarCraft 2, but 7-8 years ago, so just a difference of the games. Now, incontrol did back off with his Hydras, he did back off with the lurkers, and our orange Terran is not willing to give up quite yet. He finally has those tanks. It might be feeling a comeback is in order, with still not seeing any defilers. I don't think that upgrade was carrying stuff. Hydras do get murdered here. They're at 2-2 upgrades. Dang. That was overload speed, in fact. That's what I wanted to guess, but I wasn't sure. I think the range vision, it looks more like a couple of eyes dangling, and I don't know what this house looks like. So continuing to expand now to a 5th base. Control still doesn't know about this hidden one, and there's finally a lot of mining going on, as well as potential mech transition. The way that the Terran has played this is, I think, a little funky. So when you see, I guess, the pros do it, it is either going to be what's called SK Terran, which is a lot of Marines, medics, and science vessels, or more like factory-based play a little bit earlier into potential mech transition, which is a very dangerous point in time for them, but is totally viable, unlike StarCraft 2. And it's not too usual that you'll see the 3rd base like this being the one that's got the extra production. Like not this quickly, anyways. I want to say if you get to maybe 4, 5, 6 bases, that's when you see production in other locations, especially for like a Protoss player. For Terran, this is, I think, kind of more like a bamboozling, an attempted bamboozle that might have worked had his macro been more on point. But it really feels like Terran is just going to be dead. There's a lot of science vessels. You gotta be careful when you control these, because if you have them all in one hotkey and you irradiate something with all of them, they will literally all cast. Oh, well, they won't be casting anything because they get hit by Scourge. He now sieges up, but the lurkers can simply disengage, go back a little ways, and hold up there. A hive is done. Is there a Defilers? Oh, it's Defilers Nest? I don't remember what the word is for it. But is there something that makes Defilers? There we go. Doesn't look like it. Lurkers do get on top of what looks to be very close to the production. Once you get into the production, especially with the SimCity that our Terran has, it's going to be impossible to take care of them. Irradiate will kill a lurker after a given time, but only one lurker. It's pretty desperate when you're simming one Marine individually to go into lurkers. Yeah, I think the Terran just really thinks they're going to have a comeback potential with the hidden base. It's still running very important tanks into lurkers, now being overwhelmed by Ling Hydra. You see, the supplies aren't even really that different, but certainly the positioning and momentum is very different. These production facilities, maybe they could have made quite the army of mech, have just not been used consistently. So that does seem to be the way of things. Lurkers, pretty good units. Scourge also taking on a lot of sign sets. They're now going after the dropship. Maybe gonna get one of them. They do get the one, but I don't think they have to worry too much about another one. This Terran, just stubborn as can be. Maybe that's why incontrol said that he was Fantasy, because Fantasy is really well known for his very, very late GGs. Lifting command centers to the very, very last. Fantasy GG is kind of historic, so now I'm kind of seeing the genius. This guy's been dead for a while. Not even a GG. Hey, Fantasy was polite. This is just a flippin' slash. What the hell, man? Well, GG. That's the end of that game, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Enjoy the commentary to at least some degree. Again, I like casting it, I like watching it, so I plan on casting and uploading to my YouTube on the regular. I don't know like how regular, but sure, on the regular. And this guy's name was DLX or Root. That usually means that it's a Korean guy that just either typed in Korean that doesn't make any sense in English, or literally just spammed on the keyboard. But I can't obviously confirm that. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, then let me know. If you have tips and helpful suggestions for what I should look for in a Brood War cast, I'm totally willing to listen to that, as long as it's constructive criticism. And I will see you guys next time for another Brood War cast.